Welcome back to learning more about the Miro board. In the first two videos, we covered how to navigate Miro and how to build diagrams from scratch. But here's the thing, not every board needs to start from a blank canvas. For a lot of the most common business use cases, someone has already done the structural thinking for you. Miro has a library of templates built specifically for real team workflows. And in this video, we're going to explore a few of the most useful ones. How to find them, how to make them your own, and how to go from just opened a template to ready to run a session in under 10 minutes. Let's get into it. Think of a template as a pre-furnished room. The walls are up, the layout makes sense, and the key pieces of furniture are already in position. Your job is to move things around, swap out the labels, and make it feel like yours. The real value isn't just saving time, though it does save time. It's that a well-designed template encodes best practice into the structure itself. The zones are in the right places, the flow makes sense, and the instructions are already written. All of that thinking has been done for you, so your team can focus on the content, not on how to organize the board. To access templates, click the Templates button when creating a new board from the Miro home screen. You can browse by the categories you can see right here on the screen, or search for something specific. Each template shows a preview before you apply it, so you know exactly what you're getting. And once it's applied, everything is fully editable. Delete what you don't need, rename frames, adjust colors, add your own sections. The template is a starting point, not a constraint. Let's start with one of the most immediately useful templates in Miro's library, the Customer Journey Map. A customer journey map visualizes the experience a customer has with your product or service, from the moment they first hear about you, all the way through to becoming a loyal user, or in some cases, churning. Think of it like a map laid flat on a table. Columns running left to right represent stages of the journey, and rows running top to bottom capture different layers of the experience at each stage. The template typically comes preloaded with stages like awareness, consideration, purchase, onboarding, and retention. These rows cover things like customer actions, thoughts, feelings, pain points, and opportunities. What makes this so powerful for a CS or CX team is the shared language it creates. Instead of saying, "Customers seem frustrated during onboarding," you can point to a specific cell and say, "Here, this is where we lose them, and this is what they're feeling when it happens." So how do you make it yours in just a few minutes? Well, start with the column headers. Rename the stages to match your actual customer lifecycle. If your company calls it trial instead of onboarding, change it. These are just text boxes, so double-click and retype. Next, look at the rows. If customer emotions is less relevant to your use case than support touchpoints, delete the emotions row and replace it with one that fits. Then drop sticky notes into each cell, one idea per note, color-coded by type. You can use yellow for pain points, green for opportunities, blue for what's working well. And within about 15 minutes, you can have a populated, color-coded customer journey map your team built together, and that you could present to a stakeholder the same day. The next template worth knowing is the retrospective, a staple for any team that runs regular project reviews or end-of-sprint check-ins. The classic format has 3 columns: what went well, what didn't, and what we'll do differently. Without a template, retrospectives in Miro tend to be a bit confusing. People aren't sure where to put things, someone starts creating their own zones, and by the end you have overlapping sticky note clusters that nobody can make sense of. It's a bit like everyone bringing a dish to a dinner party, but nobody deciding on the table layout. The template solves that by giving every idea a designated place from the start. So how can we make it our own? Well, to personalize it, rename the columns to match your team's language. Some teams use keep, stop, start. Then others use roses, thorns, buds, which sounds fancier, but means exactly the same thing. You get the point. Whatever your team already uses, apply it here. Then consider adding a 4th column, action items. A dedicated space where the most important outcomes get captured as concrete next steps, with an owner and a deadline. Without it, retros produce great conversation and zero follow-through. With it, you end every session with something actionable. And before the session starts, tell your team which color goes where. Green for what went well, red for what didn't, blue for what to change. 30 seconds of setup makes the board dramatically easier to read when you're debriefing. Now, for our next template, let's say that if you watched part 2, this one will feel familiar. We built a customer support contact flow from scratch in that video. But if you need to map a process quickly for a handover, a new hire, or a team audit, the process map template gives you the right shapes, a working legend, and swim lanes, all pre-built. Think of swim lanes like lanes in a swimming pool, as each one belongs to a specific team or role, and nothing crosses into the wrong lane without a reason. Rename each lane to match your actual structure, with names like support, engineering, success, management, whatever your real handoff points are. Then replace the placeholder steps with your actual process. Because the shape types are already correct, you don't have to think about whether a step should be a rectangle or a diamond. You just follow the pattern that's already there. Last one, and this is particularly useful for live collaborative sessions. The brainstorming template gives you a structured ideation space, a central question at the top, pre-made category zones, and a clustering area for after the ideation phase. A blank canvas brainstorm is fine for a small, experienced group. But for a new team or a high-stakes session, the template removes friction before it has a chance to slow things down. To make it yours, start with the central prompt. Replace it with a specific question. What are the biggest friction points in our onboarding process? Works far better than just brainstorm. Specific questions produce specific ideas. Then set your category zones. For a support workflow session, they might be process, tooling, training, communication. Then, for a product roadmap session, quick wins, big bets, research needed, out of scope. The template gives you the structure. You decide what fills it. Before we wrap up, keep in mind to apply these 4 principles to any template you use. Starting with renaming the frames before you share. Generic labels like Step 1 or Section A make a board feel unfinished. Rename them to your actual content, and the board immediately feels intentional. Second, remember to delete what you won't use. Templates are built to be comprehensive, which means they almost always include more than you need. A cleaner board is always easier to work with than a full one. Third, set your color system before the session. Decide what each sticky note color means, and tell your team before they touch the board. Consistency makes the output readable at a glance, while inconsistency means spending the debrief figuring out what everything means. And I know you're tired of hearing this by now, but remember to lock the structure. Zone labels, column headers, frame titles, lock them all before participants join. This single habit is what separates a board that survives a live session from one that falls apart in the first 5 minutes. So remember, templates aren't a shortcut around learning Miro. They're a faster path to using it for something real. Open one, personalize it to make it yours, and run a session with your team. Go build something worth sharing, and good luck with Miro.